still a bit in them. Of course, they also have a legacy from mostly what comes after that. I mean, you can't really delete 800 years of history after the Normans. So there's a lot of Spanish influence, there's a little bit of French influence, there's a lot of Habsburg Bourbons that come later. And what is on Sicily now is a cultural mix of all those elements together.
Yeah, for example, Taormina, the Greek theatre in Taormina, it is still used for music.
Roman theatre in Taormina, still used today.
It's Roman,
absolutely. Yeah.
And then, so we can still, they are being used, the old monuments.
They are still being used. I mean, they weren't used, of course, for centuries and centuries and centuries. This is now today. In Syracuse, they're reusing the theatre. In Taormina, they're reusing the theatre. That's just today. I mean, they know, of course, but they use it for modern plays as well.
Okay. And in Syracuse, I noticed there was an Apollo temple and things like that,
Yes.
which is in an island.
Yeah.
So, do we understand Greek history through those monuments? Because the Greece was fragmented.
But it's Greek history different from Greece.
Yeah.
It's Greek history. Once these Greeks had gone to Sicily, they made a life for themselves on Sicily. And after a while, they severed all ties with the Greek mainland. And so,
but they even defeated Athens.
And eventually the Greeks from Greece became so envious of the Greek world that they went and tried to conquer it back from the Sicilians. And so the Sicilian Greeks, they just wiped out the Athenian fleet. And that was the end of Athenian power in the Mediterranean, just to show how powerful the Sicilians were.
But the architecture, Greek architecture or ancient style of making
it is in the style of what happened on the Greek mainland, but it was different because they had different materials. So it was in limestone rather than in marble. And the decorations were in terracotta. And in more limestone, and it preserves much better. It preserves much better also the paint. The fact that these buildings were very colorfully painted comes out much better through the surviving architectural decoration on site.
What are the highlights of this exhibition which are on display?
Well, I think the highlights are really the architectural fragments. We try to evoke the atmosphere of a Greek temple. We try to evoke the atmosphere of a Norman palace or church through many of the architectural elements. Because of course we can't bring a temple here, we can't bring a palace here. They are really the highlights.
The fragments which you have brought from Syracuse.
Yeah, that came from Sicily itself, or from Palermo as well. I know the Norman bits are all from Palermo. So I think the architectural sort of recreation is really, I think, how we try to convey this story to people.
And last question, what is the ceiling we are looking at the moment?